Welcome to another edition of Bunker Office Hours, a weekly live show brought to you by Team at Bunker Labs, a national network of veteran, military spouse, entrepreneurs dedicated to growing our ecosystem. I'm your host, Iron Mike Steadman, coming to you from Newark, New Jersey, joined by my co-host Amy and our guest today, Chris from Bucket of Bread. We're going to be talking all things Bucket of Bread and the holiday gift guide, which will be coming out soon. So we want to get that word out amongst the Bunker ecosystem for those of you who are eligible to apply. So before we do that, let me go ahead and pass it over to my co-host, Amy Morton, to give any updates that are taking place in the bunker.
Thanks, Mike. Okay, so some of this you probably guys already know, but applications are open for Ambassador Program right now. And you can check that out at bunkerlabs.org/ambassador-program. Those applications are open through the end of the month, I think. It says on the website. We also have a new blog post up, a veteran entrepreneur spotlight on John Stojan, who is an Air Force veteran, a veteran in residence alumni, and founder of First North Marketing, which specializes in optimizing your product pages for Amazon. So you can check out that spotlight on the blog. And then just a reminder, we still have the crash course in small business finance with Intuit. It's a 6-part podcast series with Mike and financial experts talking about all things business finance. And I think that is everything that is going on currently.
Awesome. Well, a couple of things I want to say. If you haven't gotten the chance to see that podcast, check it out. We created for you all because we know financial literacy, right, especially when it comes to business acumen, is super important. And when you're dealing with, taxes and running the day-to-day of your business and trying to get capital, it's hard to know like what to focus on. And so with the crash course, we just give you literally a crash course on all things finance to get you started and pointed in the right direction. So be sure to check that out. Also want to give a shout out to those of you in the chat, Cornelia and Linda, for tuning in all the way from Chattanooga, Tennessee. So without further ado, Chris, welcome back to Office Hours. For our viewers who are not familiar with Bucket of Bread, please bring them up to speed on the business.
Well, hello. Thank you for having me back. My name is Chris Wysong, and I have created a thing I call Bucket of Bread, which is these blends of certified organic flours that I put in 100% recyclable buckets. And you add 3 cups of lukewarm water, mix it up. 2 to 3 hours later, you have over a gallon of dough, and that'll last up to 2 weeks in your fridge. And it's great for breads, but even pizzas, cinnamon buns, garlic knots, breadsticks, pretzels, bagels, anything you can think of using a dough for. And the best part about the entire business is that at least 10% of any profits made go towards charities that are combating hunger and fighting food insecurity in America.
By the way, Chris, tell us about your military background and how you got to a Bucket of Bread.
Okay, so I guess I'll start with growing up as a child. My mom always had me in the kitchen, and that just made me comfortable, and she wanted to really make sure that I could take care of myself once I was on my own. But eventually I joined the military, and I just carried that on, making food for myself as I grew up. And 1990 was when I joined. I'm Gulf War vet. First duty station right out of my AIT was going to Saudi Arabia and finding a unit once I got on ground. So after a while of that, I was a fuel truck driver. I got out quickly. The contract ended there, so I ended up just traveling around Germany a little bit and enjoying my mid-20s, but missed the military, came back into the reserve system and got into public affairs. Became a military technician working as a civilian while I was in the reserve side, but eventually got picked up as an officer and into the AGR program. And I eventually finished out my tour of duty in Fort McCoy, Wisconsin. And that's where I retired out of. And I live here in La Crosse, Wisconsin. A couple deployments in between then and there as well. One of which I found myself baking bread with the Iraqi army. So that was a neat little situation. I just ran up on these guys that were baking out in the middle of nowhere, it seemed. And turns out that they were making these flatbreads And next thing you know, I'm sitting at the table for their chow hall with a fella named General Ali in the middle of the day having a impromptu guest of honor lunchtime. So that was kind of a neat situation. But roll that all up into a thing. I had all this experience in doing things. Whenever there was a charity event, I was always the guy that baked something or put it together. But in August of 2020, I just had this dream that, you wake up in the 3 a.m. time and you're like, I can't shake it. It was like everything I've been doing, I could put it in a bucket and use that as a platform to help people. So next thing you know, I've contacted the small business development centers. I started digging around with the idea, formed an LLC, and thought any money I spend will at least have an umbrella under which it falls. And next thing you know, by May 2021, the location was secured, the licenses, the insurances. I had my first live tiny small farmers market type event, and I've just been pushing along ever since.
That's great. What's been the hardest part about growing the business?
I think getting the word out. So I think marketing is a necessary evil, almost, if you will. I used to keep a clicker in my pocket, for like a pitch count in baseball. You click it every time you need one to count something. And if somebody was at my table at a live event and they heard me go through the little memorized spiel, I'd give them a click. And consistently about 20 to 22% of those people would end up buying a bucket. But if you go into the website land, you don't get that same personality, and that number drops drastically. So I think the biggest challenge is being able to just push that digital presence out so that the direct to consumer side through the internet ordering system is pushed at a larger quantity. So that's the challenge, is reaching that plateau point to where it's just regular direct to consumer right through the website. So I'm working with some different ideas, one of which is coming up here soon. The biggest complaint people have had is that there's too much of my product. They think that, for their smaller families, they're not going to use that much inside of that 2-week period. So we've finally just found them, another veteran-owned business that if you follow me on social media and stuff, you'll start seeing me talk about them. But we'll get the half size. So I finally found some distributors that are going to supply me with the half size recyclable buckets as well. So that'll make a huge difference and allow people even more variety. So there's that horizon.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing. And we know a lot of small business owners struggle with building that awareness. And I think this is a good teachable moment, ensuring that you have some kind of nurturing campaign. So a lot of times we'll spend a lot of our energy kicking up dirt, introducing ourselves to new audiences. But once we meet them, how do we get them in our system? And I constantly recommend people to get a newsletter going. I see you have your YouTube channel going. Easy way to send them, that you can keep them in the loop. But I need to do another podcast on building awareness, because this is something that comes up over and over again. Now, you've had a lot of success since you've been on Office Hours, because you came on, I think, just over a year ago. Veteran Shark Tank, right? Your podcast of the day from your little incubator in Wisconsin. So give us some updates on the progress of the business.
So what's nice is a newsletter. I implemented that this year, some of those types of things. So on the 1st and the 15th of every month, I'll push out new recipes, maybe some articles of interest, nothing spammy, but a nice little bit of information that I just push out twice a month. And then some wholesale accounts have been created. So the Veteran Museum Gift Shop of Wisconsin, they've picked up, and you can purchase Bucket of Bread direct through them. We're working together we're going to start doing some fundraising together from that side of the state to this side of the state with Bucket of Bread and the Veteran Administration's Museum's gift shop there. There's a couple other wholesale accounts, some small shops that have picked up the Bucket of Bread, and you can get it there. Sorry about that. And let's see. Basically, with the expansion of the product line. I think that's really going to help with those wholesale accounts as well. And really just try to continue to spread the word out and see what's out there.
Now, a few months ago, well, it's actually half a year. It feels like time's moving quick. You had an opportunity to travel to Philly and participate in the Veteran Shark Tank. For those you don't know, Philly has a great veteran entrepreneurial ecosystem. They're really doing a lot of positive things in the community. And the Veteran Shark Tank was no joke. I think it was a $50,000 cash prize. There were, how many of you participating? 6 or 7?
There are five. Five veteran-owned businesses are selected. The applications right now for that are still open. If you Google the Veteran Shark Tank application, you still have some time to get yours in. I would highly recommend applying because it is an experience like no other. You're going to be able to talk about what you have in front of a large group of people. And it's just an exciting way to get your voice heard. And the prize is a winner takes all situation. But for those that don't win the grand prize, like I did not win the grand prize, but it opens a lot of other doors. You're able to meet a lot of different people. The greater or the Philadelphia Veterans Network out there, they do a great job of trying to communicate with the businesses, the owners, and they really want to work on having a long-term relationship to help you along your journey as an entrepreneur. And it would just behoove you to definitely apply no matter what you're doing, get your stuff in and see where it goes. Worst case scenarios is it's no. So do it.
What was the biggest lesson you learned?
Don't be afraid. Just get up there, be yourself. Definitely stick your neck out there and see what you can do. And you're going to meet a lot of great people. So the biggest lesson is just be genuine. And I think that you'll find that the experience is well worth the effort.
And we're going to be talking more about Veteran Shark Tank next week. So be on the lookout for that. Now, in addition, Chris, you have been able to participate in our holiday gift guide. Let's talk a little bit about that and what that's been able to help do for the brand.
So what's nice about the conversation we're having right now about getting that word out is that the gift guide fits in really wonderful with that. The people who have participated in the Bunker Labs events and they have the products that they want to offer people, it's awesome to be able to be part of a collected group of veteran businesses and then listed as one of the places that people can go and purchase your products. And getting that word out is just an essential piece of being in business and starting out. It's hard. So Bunker Labs is really trying to make that extra effort to give people a little bit of an extra voice when it comes to talking about their business in that platform. So I'm super appreciative of it. And if you check your emails, you should have a spot there if you've been in part of Bunker Labs in the past, but get your application in and be listed. And then the challenge I'd recommend to all of the people that are participating or have participated with Bunker Labs is go on that list, support a veteran-owned business, and tell 10 of your friends and ask them to do the same. So let's spread the word out beyond just the Bunker Labs internal audience. So that would be my my challenge to those that are interested in the holiday gift guide is sign up and share it.
Yeah, the holiday gift guide is just a great way for us to support the community. One thing that I love about this ecosystem is we really do try to buy from each other, so especially when it comes to, like you say, holiday gifts for people, being able to go on there, see the portfolio of amazing veteran-owned and military spouse-led businesses is just amazing. And so make sure you help us spread the word. And again, to be eligible for the holiday gift guide, you have had to participate in one of our core programs here within the bunker. Now, for our visitors, for our viewers tuning in, if you have any questions for Chris and I regarding Bucket of Bread or the holiday gift guide, please feel free to go ahead and drop those in the chat. in the meantime, Chris, how are you spending your day to day with the company? So what's an average day look like?
So typically what I'll do is I'll go through the morning orders and try to get them out the same day, if not the next day from when they were ordered. Typically, an order will take about 2 to 3 days to arrive to destination. So it's pretty quick. I'm super appreciative of that. Then I'll go through the email lists, and then most of the stuff is typically a social media pushing things out here and there. Here lately over the summer, I've pulled back a little bit from doing all of the social media stuff and posting a lot of pictures, and then tried to concentrate on some of the background mechanics, like getting some of those smaller buckets arranged and ordered. I've looking at a graphic artist here about 2 blocks away. So we'll be doing things with them to kind of create a new label for the smaller packaging. That should be out hopefully by the November timeframe. But basically, I'm a lot of the times on the fly. There's a little bit of structure, but I try to do a little bit of reaction, and then still get my to-do lists. I definitely keep a to-do list of things I have to keep track of, and I just try to knock off as much and keep adding when needed. But that's a typical day. But we do have a question. It looks like I just had a message pop up that says, it's from Linda. She says, can I use a bread tube? I love this concept and plan to give it as a few gifts this year. Well, in theory, yes. I have not tested it out with one of those glass bread tubes, but it should work wonderfully inside of that. I'd be curious. I should probably test it out, but I have not had the opportunity to use one of those. So I guess it's an experiment waiting to happen.
So with a business like this, how have you managed to deal with cash flow? Have you had to take out any loans, or has it been grants, or just fully bootstrapped?
So I have been very fortunate. Before I was participating in Bunker Labs, there was the Pentagon Federal Credit Union had a pitch competition, and I did participate in that. I didn't win the first prize, but I did get $20,000 invested into my business as in the form of a cash prize. So that was a huge, tremendous help, because it really helped launch the inventory for the buckets so that I could purchase them at a lower rate. And it helped me put together the website and just really get things going. So I did not have to take out that initial loan. The rest of the funds I put together with my savings. I just put that all into this to get the renovations needed and some of the other things. And then there was another grant that came through from the state that helped basically maintain the rent for a whole year, it seems. But here recently, there was another grant that was awarded to me. And that's going to allow me to use that towards the smaller bucket bulk purchase. So I'm very lucky to have been participating in those 3 grants. They really helped launch it, but the rest is me bootstrapping, and I have not yet had to take a loan. So if I'm able to move this into a co-packing type situation where the large orders are coming through, I'm pretty sure I'll have to secure some financing to pay for that upfront costs. But if I get to that point, I figure that's a good problem to have.
Well, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to write down CDFI, which stands for Community Development Financial Institutions. These are lending institutions that have been set up to provide alternative sources of lending for economic development. So, and there's funds set aside specifically for veteran-owned and military spouse-owned businesses. And so I'm sure there's a local CDFI in the Wisconsin area that would be a great potential partner for you once you go that route. Additionally, I believe it's called the People Fund. I was supposed to have them on a podcast, but they actually lead the veteran CDFI community. So a lot of opportunities there that I'll be sure to pass that information along. But this is something that we do need to talk about, because obviously running the business, one thing to get it off the ground, then you have the day-to-day, Then you start trying to do things to punch above your weight a bit. And in order to do that, you do need that that infusion of capital. So just knowing what's out there is a way to stay ahead of the game.
Wow, thank you for that information. I've written that down and I'll be following up.
So once again, if you all have any questions for Chris and I, feel free to go ahead and drop it in the chat. In the interim, we're going to transition to book recs. So Chris, what is your book recommendation for the audience?
I have that book right here. And before I go into the book, I'd just like to say to Joe Himpelman, thank you so much. I am glad that you liked the bucket of bread, and I really appreciate that. So the book is called Get Unstuck, and that's by a fella named Jerry Gendusa. He's a Wisconsinite. So what I like about this book is it's easy to read, but it's sort of a unstuck is more like overcoming challenges. It's not necessarily that you're beating your head against the wall all the time, but it's a nice, easy read. There's some things to do inside of it, like a little activities that you can do, like a one-page goal sheet, the single-page plan. But what's nice is it kind of walks you through the process of all of from startup to getting rid of it and selling it at, or stepping away with your exit plan. But along the way, there's storyline of how he took a business from his garage and sold it out for over $100 million, and how he and his partner built this, and what they've learned and the lessons they were able to derive from that activity, and all of the work that they put in. So it's a great read, and I'd recommend it.
Awesome. My book recommendation is Write Useful Books, A Modern Approach to Designing and Refining Recommendable Nonfiction by Rob Fitzpatrick. Rob wrote a book called The Mom Test, which has really caught some waves in the entrepreneurial community about validating a business idea. So, most people give you the mom answer of, oh, yeah, this sounds like a great idea, but you actually need to validate it either with paying customers and knowing what to look for. And he really made a name for himself on that book. And in Write Useful Books, I enjoy writing. I write a newsletter. I wrote my first book, Black Veteran Entrepreneur. So I'm just constantly trying to refine my craft of, communicating is really what it comes down to. And this is a short, simple read. He talks a lot about the benefits of testing writing concepts, whether through social media, with your newsletter before you put it in the book. So the old way was, I have this great idea for a book and I'm just going to write it and I'm not going to tell anybody about it, instead of inviting people to participate in the writing process. That way, that once you put something out there, it is recommendable. So that's why he says you write a blog post, you write a newsletter, and are people sharing it? If they are, that lets you know you might be on to something with a certain topic. So going through it right now. Once I finish it, if I have more to say, I'll be sure to pass along to you all. So before we wrap up here, Chris, one last thing. Tell us where people can find you and how they can support you, and also leave our audience with some words of encouragement on their own entrepreneurial journey.
Okay, so the easiest way to get a hold of Bucket of Bread is simply go to the website, which is Bucket of Bread at bucketofbread.com. So bucketofbread.com. And once you're there, it has the explanation of what it is, but you can order, or you can also donate buckets directly from the website, because in addition to having some profit sharing with charities, I also allow people to take an order and send that directly to a local pantry. It's called the Hunger Task Force of La Crosse, and that'll go along with your receipt. They'll send you a thank you letter and a form for information on how to have that be tax deductible. But beyond that, bucketofbread.com, you can buy any bucket you want there, and look for the smaller ones coming soon. Beyond that, I think the best thing I can say for words of encouragement is, if you have that idea, follow through with it, look at it, start it. You're going to figure out a lot along the way, and mistakes are going to happen, but everything's a learning experience, and you can do this. So just jump in.
Well, Chris, always a pleasure having you on. We're lucky to have you in the ecosystem. Wishing you much success with Bucket of Bread, and excited to support you all with the holiday gift guide as well. And for all our viewers tuning in, make sure you go ahead and check out bucketofbread.com. Let's show Chris some love. And we drop the holiday gift guide here soon. Be sure to check that out. Also, if you haven't done so already, you're missing out by not listening to the Transition Podcast. I'm getting a lot of great positive feedback from the show. I know a lot of you are spread out all across the country, not necessarily in entrepreneurial ecosystems like we have here in the New York City metro area. That doesn't mean you have to go at it alone. We're putting out a lot of educational content to support you all. So make sure you download the Transition Podcast and leave us a review on iTunes. Really appreciate it. I'd also like to acknowledge our sponsors for the Transition Podcast, MetLife Foundation, for making it possible. Until next time, everyone, peace, love.